Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Berry Robinson and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours a day. We are seen on Flint, Michigan Comcast Cable Channel 17 every Saturday at 6 and every Wednesday at 8:30. We're also seen on the Detroit market, Channel 68, every Sunday at 9. We're now seen down the river on Channel 20, all right, every Tuesday and Saturday. Please tune in. I want to introduce our very talented co-host. We have Mr. Neesmith Allen.
Hi, Ron. How's everybody?
Great. We have Miss Patricia McQueen.
How you doing, Ron?
Fantastic. And we have Mr. Henry Hatter.
Thank you, Ron. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Folks, let's talk about religious intolerance. Why? Example, religious intolerance is against another religion or religious beliefs or practices. Politicians are good examples. They constantly introduce bills that prefer one religion over another, and I think that's wrong. Patricia, what do you think?
What I think about religious intolerance is this: if it's not one person's belief and what they consider correct as far as religion goes, then they're against it. Then you are your beliefs don't count. Most religions believe that their religion is the only religion, the only rightful religion. And that's back as far as the Pharisees and the Sadducees. They believed by Moses' law, and they weren't going to accept anything else that Jesus and the disciples had come about to, what the disciples and Jesus had came about to do. And so what I'm saying is this: Jesus, when he came to this earth, he came that we might have life, and he came because we weren't able to live up under the laws that the Pharisees and the Sadducees had put before us.
Okay.
You know, it was impossible. So what I'm saying is the religious intolerance is something that should not be, because every human being has a right to his own beliefs and his own lifestyle and its own way of living is not right. But there's so many people are so judgmental about not just religion, about everything. So,
well, what do you say to a person that that doesn't believe in religion,
I see
and
it.
that he or she is not an atheist either?
She's not an atheist and she doesn't believe in religion, and that's fine, because I could be that person that doesn't believe in religion, because a lot of religion is man-made, man's thoughts, how he would have things done. You know, I consider myself spiritual, not religion, because religion lead and guide me into places sometimes that I should not even be, and listening and hearing things from other pastors and other people's lifestyles that they're putting on me. So that's how I feel about religion.
Denise, what? You have some thoughts on that?
Well, kind of piggybacking up off of what Patricia says, you know, religion, in my mind, is divisive. And that's what it stands for. It's divisive. You've got various religions. I mean, in the United States, we probably got well over 300 religions, okay? In the world, you have various religions, some religions we've never even heard of, okay? But the idea is, and this is my belief, there's one God. You can call him what you want, but there's only one. And as far as your relationship with your God, you have to ask for guidance. And that's a spiritual thing. Okay, so once you get that guidance and that understanding, your situation as a human being on this earth is to allow a person to be who they are and to appreciate their religious belief if they have one. Okay, if they have none, you may want to introduce them to yours. But You do not want to become what I call a religious bigot and feel as though yours is better than. Okay? Because you don't know, number one, all that's out there, and number two, if that person has a relationship, that is the ultimate. Having a relationship with the God of your understanding. Okay?
Okay, I heard you say guidance now. Where does this guidance manifest itself from?
The guidance, first of all, like I said, we are spiritual beings. Whether we believe it or not, we are spiritual beings. And a lot of times, because we have not exposed ourselves or allowed ourselves to tap into that side of us, it's dormant. Okay? It's not alive. But once we start saying, and you say your prayer, however you say your prayer, and asking for guidance, I want to know more about you, the God that is the God of this universe, the God who has created all of life. I want to know about you. The spirit within inside of you, and we all have that spirit, and we hear a voice inside of us, whether we admit it or not, and it guides us and directs us. Okay? And so once that is awakened, then if you are one who wants to fellowship with other believers of the faith that you have, it's open to you.
Are we talking about right and wrong?
Okay, so we're talking about
I'm trying to understand.
yeah, I hear you, and that's a very, very interesting and a good question, because I think that we all have been exposed to what we believe to be moral teachings, basic things of what we consider right and wrong. For those of us, and I am a Christian, for those of us who believe in Christianity, then we look at the Ten Commandments as a guide. Okay? Some basic things. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not do certain things. Okay? And in the same token, you're treating your other person around you as your brother or your sister. You're treating them with kindness and compassion. Those are the things that, as my belief system teaches me, is what I'm supposed to be about. Okay? So, again, for those who don't have a religious leaning, if you will, I use the word, like I said, I don't like that word, but if you don't have one, you have the opportunity, particularly now with the internet and all the rest of that, you can pull up just about anything to find out what it is in that religious organization, what they believe and who their founder is and all the rest of this kind of stuff. And you can make an informed decision if you want to do that. Okay? And then, we've got these jokes that we talk about, those that don't go and assemble themselves with other believers. We've got bedside Baptists. That means on Sunday morning, you're sitting up and you're flicking on the TV and you're watching a minister who's preaching. Okay, so I mean, there are all kinds of things that are available to us that deals with our belief system if you have one, and if you don't have one, you have an opportunity to obtain one. So,
and it also says, "Thou shalt not bear false witness," too, and that I believe in that.
Yep, those 10 Commandments.
Those 10 Commandments. All right. Somebody will need to tell Trump that. Okay. Henry, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I've been inspired by these two ladies. I didn't know whether I was going to agree with them. First of all, they condemned man. They said that's a man thing. And I'm spiritual. Well, man, we're men.
No.
You know that. You know you starting some stuff here.
Okay. Okay, you didn't say human beings. Okay, I forgive you. But I'm impressed with your erudition, both of you, because we've got something that we cannot, we cannot, it's not debatable. And first of all, the concept of God. And we do have religious intolerance, but we need to define religious intolerance much finer than that. We have, remember, prior to the 20th century, we had almost a homogeneous nation made up of Christians. And when you go back and you look at the Christians under this telescope or this microscope, there was tremendous intolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Baptists, there's a South Baptist and a North Baptist, and they didn't agree. I may not have it right exactly that way, but Baptists don't agree in certain circles. And then there are, of course, people who were Pentecost and Presbyterians and all of those. They all have their focus on a certain specific about religion that they really believe in. And outside of the captured boundary of those, they don't believe in anything outside of it, and they fight it. And yet, the intent of God or Christ was to bring everybody under one domain, right? But we don't, because of these differences in us. But still, even with our differences, we should be able to get along and do all of those things you say that are recorded in the Ten Commandments, because those are the right things. If there's such a thing as right, that would be the focal point. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife or property, and all of those other things that you talked about, Ron. Those are things that protect us from ourselves and from each other. Because we would kill over those kind of things. We will do exactly the opposite. So we still fight with that. How we're going to, and I guess they're going to be with us forever. I don't know, Pastor. You might know better than I do, Denise. But then there's the bigger picture, religious intolerance. The Muslims, the Arabs, the Buddhists, and all of those people began to invade the population. And most of us in the United States, even though we had our religious intolerance, we could live with them. It's okay, you don't want to come to my church, then don't. You know, but we never shot each other over that. We never, we sparred a little bit, but we forgot it. But the new kind of intolerance that we see in the United States is over bigger issues, and it's tearing the world apart. It's tearing our country apart. It is splitting us, just like a ripe watermelon.
Well, one of the things that's happening here in America specifically is the fact that not only are you dealing with, say, the Muslim population, but you're also looking at, this is not just a religious intolerance, it's also an intolerance on the fact that these people are people of color in most instances. See, they can be identified, all right? Now, whether we want to admit that or not, what we're seeing, this upsurge in people being attacked, the women who wear their scarves and whatnot, these are women who have melanin in their skin. It may not be as dark as myself, but yet they are noticed, okay? And then when they wear the scarf, because that is their religious belief, they become targets. And it's unfortunate because the people who are attacking them don't really know anything about them except for what is being programmed into their mind about them being terrorists. If they know anything about Muslims, see, one of the things about me as a religious person, quote unquote, I have looked at other people's works. I have a Quran. I look at it, okay? So when I look at it from the standpoint that these people are peaceful people. But just like you have in the Christian faith, you have zealots, you have people who are extremists, and if you don't follow the tenets of the, what is the word I'm looking for? It's like, these are what we do. These are the things that we believe. And if you don't follow that, then you are not even a human. And that's so unfair. That is so untrue, because you don't know what this person grew up with on the other side of the world. They came here to America. Many of them have come because of persecution, because of religious persecution. The Shiites and the other groups within their own religion group. And so they say, well, we're escaping that. And then we come here and then we're going to be castigated and persecuted because of what we believe. These folks get down on their knees and pray 5 times a day, okay? And we can hardly get a Christian person to get down on their knees 1 time. You know what I'm saying? So
we're privileged in this country
we're
by our wealth.
a wealth
Yeah.
and the freedom
Yeah,
and the freedom to
yeah.
do it,
Yeah.
okay? And so that's the problem.
Well, you know,
That's the intolerance.
The other thing is, I want to just make a short deviation from your perspective of how African Americans do differ from other people with color. Arabs are part of the white race. So are Mexicans. So are Jews.
Who said?
Oh, go to the dictionary. Look it up.
Yeah,
See-
the dictionary is created by someone who has
So
already.
is the Bible.
Yeah. I get that. I get that, and this is
But-
part of the problem. This is part of the problem because we don't do enough research.
Yeah.
Because if we keep dealing with the research and keep going deeper, if you look at the Bible, we're looking at King James, who was one person who had his way of looking at the Bible. But then, if you go back, if you take from a historical perspective, it goes back to civilization, which started in Africa. So
Exactly.
everything starts there, whether we want to believe it, accept it or not. But that's the truth.
But dealing with this, as I said, this is the bigger picture. We have a minimal picture
Very
problem in this country. The way Christians get along in this country, it's almost solved, and we don't pay any much attention to that. But we take huge amounts of attention to other people from foreign lands who are immigrating here. But I don't think the focal point should be on skin color.
It
should be
isn't.
on
It
religion.
isn't. But I just bring that to your attention because you can call them out quicker. Because look at what's going on with the upsurge in the attacks on Jewish people. Okay, synagogues now. People are calling in bombs against them, and they're going into their cemeteries and desecrating their their plots and things like that. Now, most of them are European. Okay, so they assimilate. They look like who they look like. You understand? But yet they're identifying the religion part of it more so than they are skin color.
Do you think people really come here first for religious freedom or for the economic freedom?
I think they come for both.
Mm-hmm.
I think they come
because
for
one
both.
without the other.
They come from.
You don't come to. We have it all
Mhm.
in this country, and we appreciate nothing.
Right.
Yeah, we fight for minutia,
Right.
And yet these other people coming here, they say, I want to go to America because people there don't really care, and they don't strive to improve the quality of life for themselves or for others. So it's a great place to be, and there are opportunities, and we can create opportunities. They can see opportunities where we can't. But when they come here, we want them to assimilate, not to isolate themselves. If they can come here and assimilate the way, and maybe lots of people don't want them to assimilate because I don't know that. But if they can come here and assimilate and mix with us and become the melting pot that we had hoped that was designed, the country was designed for, that's ideal.
See, and one note that Denise brought up, all right, that the beginning of civilization began in Africa, all right. I don't care how you slice it, all right. That's the cradle of civilization, and that all one has to do is get your DNA checked, all right. Get your DNA checked, because you're not white, you're not all the rest of these other colors that you think that you are. Get your DNA checked, all right? It would put you somewhere on the continent of Africa, period. So, whites can say whatever they want to say, blacks can say whatever they want to say, any other race, Arabs, Jews, your butts all came from Africa, period. All right? That was one thing. Denise, you brought up another point that the headgear that some of the some people wear. Now, usually they're attacking people of color again. Okay, what about the white nuns. All right, they have their
those habits that they
those
wear.
habits and stuff.
No, we're talking about religious freedom. Not, don't
No,
talk
no,
about
no.
racial freedom.
It
Let's stay with the
came
religious.
up. It
They
came up.
happen to be black.
It came
Stick
up.
with the
So
religion.
it came.
Yeah, we are.
I am.
We are.
All right, nuns. Okay, what's the difference between them wearing their headgear as opposed to a Muslim woman wearing her headgear?
Big
all
difference.
right?
Big difference,
See?
Ron. Big difference.
Yeah,
Because
color.
No, not in this instance, because they have nuns that are all shades all throughout the world who believe in Catholicism. Because now you're talking about a sect of a religion, because they are Christian too.
Sure.
Those are Christian people, but the idea is all about how they celebrate their rituals, and that's the biggest thing, and that's the word I was looking for earlier.
Okay.
It's about rituals, what a person does inside their house of worship. Okay. And so in Catholicism, there is probably a priest or someone who's speaking. Sometimes they're speaking in another language or whatever the case may be. They kneel, they pray, they light incense or candles and things like that. They use holy water and they bob their heads and do the cross and that kind of thing. That's a ritual. In the Baptist churches, in the non-denominational churches, everybody that has those four walls has a element of a ritual that they do, and you figure out what that ritual is, and if you buy into it, if you like what they're doing, then you'll be a part of that. You understand? But getting back to the nuns, okay, the nuns are not considered a threat because they are Catholic and they are a part of Christianity.
Sure.
Okay.
Which in the reality of it it's
a sect.
Exactly.
It's a sect.
All right.
That's all it is.
So
Okay.
where are we going with this argument?
Well,
It's a good one, but
But he was saying, but we were both talking about whether it was one of color or not, because you have nuns that are in South America who are darker than us. So that's not the issue. Okay, they're not considered a threat. It's those persons who have identified themselves as part of the Islamic belief system. Okay, so therefore you got those folks that are being condemned. They're being condemned.
Now, one of the reasons that Muslims are condemned by a lot of people who are never thought about it, don't think about anything else, don't have anything to think about at all, and just move around idly. And those are people who believe that Muslims kill people, and they behead people, and they see some of these ugly things that go on, and they decide to develop a perspective that these people are bad people based on that. We have to clean that up in our whole concept of accepting them as religious padres or companions. But that's still against them.
It is going to be against them because, like I was saying earlier, about the extremism in some religions, and even our own Christianity here in the United States. You have people who, at one time, say the Kojic Church of God in Christ, okay, they were very, they didn't believe in women wearing makeup. They certainly didn't want a woman in the pulpit. You had to wear a skirt that was down to your ankles and that kind of thing. That is a religious, extreme, okay, and if you didn't fall into that, then
you lost your congregation.
Not only did you lose your congregation, you might lose your family.
Yeah.
Okay, and that takes you over to other religions. When I think about a lot of the Hollywood actors who have gotten into Scientology, for example, Scientology is another sect. We don't talk about it because most of us don't know anything about it. But they have their whole line of indoctrination, and once a person is a part of that organization, then they basically alienate them from their family members, and they don't want you talking to them. Okay, same thing with the ones that knock on the doors. I can't think of what Jehovah's Witnesses. It's the same thing. They alienate. They say, this is where you belong. This is your organization. We believe that when you die, there's 144,000 of us are going to go, which is a very small number when you think about 144,000 people. And the rest of the people y'all going to hell.
Don't.
Okay? So understanding what each of these groups offer, you can figure out, number one, is this something I really believe in or I want to be a part of? But even if I choose not to, I'm not going to knock you for your belief. If that's what you want to believe, that's your business. But you better know what you believe. A lot of people don't know what they believe. They're in it, but they don't know it.
As a Christian, I am tired of the same old rituals in every church. I am tired of the saints that are calling themselves saints and being so judgmental of people that are of different faith or no faith at all. And so I feel that you have to have your mind made up, and your relationship with Christ is about you and Him. Because like she said, Church of God in Christ, with the long skirts and all of that, I came out of Church of God in Christ. And one day I woke up and said, this is not me. Why am I doing this? I'm not going to do this anymore. This is not about me and my God. So you can either have your own mind and know who you are, or you can follow in somebody else's footsteps.
But don't you have to
besides
receive
Jesus.
an inspiration from a source, an authoritative source, to say that human beings cannot do it for you?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. That's
Right.
what I was saying earlier about having that relationship. It's a spiritual relationship that you asked for. If you're interested in really having it, you talk to God and you ask Him for that relationship, and it will be revealed to you. And then you will get what you need, and you'll be surrounded by people who will help support
That's
that.
right.
And with that, unfortunately, we've got to bring the show to a close, but I want to thank our millions of viewers worldwide and our excellent conversations that we've had on religious intolerance. Until next time, this is Ronald Berry Robinson and friends saying, stay focused.